Hello, and welcome to the 2025 Town of Huntersville Candidate Forum, presented by the Lake Norman Chamber of Commerce. Tonight's 2-hour session provides residents with the opportunity to hear directly from candidates, learn about their positions, and submit questions on issues that matter most to our community. Justin Ckezepis is your moderator. Let's join the action live from Huntersville Town Hall.
Their standings are on the issues that are going on in the town, and the chance to ask questions and get direct answers from them, and make them give you answers. Don't let them get off the hook that easily. A couple things coming up for the chamber that I'd like to remind everybody of. On Tuesday, October 14th from 11 till 5, the Lake Norman Chamber Business Expo at the Huntersville Rec Center. It's open to the public and there's no admission charge. So come out and visit the local businesses. We have 120 businesses that'll be at the expo, so you get a chance to see a lot of the businesses from the area and the region. Next Thursday, October 16th, is the Chamber's Public Safety Luncheon, honoring the outstanding police and firefighters in Cornelius, Davidson, and Huntersville. 11:45 a.m. at Northstone Country Club. There are seats still available for that. And last thing I'm going to talk about real briefly, and I would like everybody to understand, the Chamber of Commerce has taken no position on the transit tax. But we do have presentations both for and opposed on the website under the transit tax button at the top, so you can make an informed decision. Now that I've stated that, I'm going to give you my opinion of the transit tax. Once again, this is not the Chamber's opinion, this is my opinion as a citizen of North Mecklenburg, former elected official, and a business owner in the area. And I believe Larry Shaheen is here somewhere. There's Larry, back in the corner. Larry's going to be speaking to you between the mayors and the commissioners, and he's going to tell you why to support the transit tax. And what I'm going to say to you is take everything he says with a grain of salt. Number one, he's an attorney. Number one, he's an attorney. Number two, he's being paid to make this thing go through. So he wants to make sure that it does get approved. On the other hand, we have been promised up here for over 30 years that we were going to have a red line. Everybody sees it going up and down the tracks every week, right? No. You're being promised again that you're going to see a red line. It's not going to happen. If you read the PAVE Act, which is a extremely long and extremely poorly written bill, there's all kinds of outs, so they don't have to do the red line. The elected officials up here want everybody to support it because we're going to get money for roads. It's pittance compared to what we're going to be paying. As a small business owner, and anybody else who's a small business owner in an area, we compete with businesses in Iredell County, Ckezepis County, Lincoln County. When this sales tax goes into effect, local business owners are going to have a 2% disadvantage on selling things to our neighbors because our sales tax will be 2% higher than all the other surrounding counties. I could go on and on about why this is a bad bill and why we need to reject it. The important thing is, if it does get rejected, it's the responsibility of these people up here, the mayors and the commissioners, to go back to Raleigh and say, okay, now give us funding for our roads. Don't tie us to a sales tax that's going to be here forever. Do something so we can get roads and we can get improvements in our area, and don't promise us things that we're never going to see. So with that, if you have any other questions about it, you can go to noredlinetax.com and find out a lot of information about it, or you can reach out to me directly. I own the range at Lake Norman and Cornelius. Come by and see me. Be happy to talk to you about it. Reach out to me online. Reach out through the Chamber of Commerce. And I hope that you seriously consider not supporting this sales tax come November. So with that, I will turn it over to Justin, and it's all yours. Thank you. Appreciate you, Brian.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. How are you? We are broadcasting live on WSIC right now. We are also video live streaming on all of social media, as well as the WSIC news app. So if you're in here, you consent to being broadcast here if your voice and it gets out of control and unruly. But we're not going to have that. We're going to have a thoughtful discussion with our candidates here, both the mayoral and the town board. You have the opportunity to submit questions. That's what it's really about, giving you the opportunity to ask the questions that you want. And so Vanna White is here today as well, and she will be collecting the note cards from you around the room. You're welcome to pass them down, and you can submit them that way. Also online, we are monitoring online socials as well. If you have questions, you are able to submit online, and then those will be directed toward me as well. So starting with the mayoral candidates here, we're grateful for both of you for being here tonight. We so appreciate your time and your willingness. Just randomly, I'm going to start left to right, and then Mr. Partee, I'm going to end right to left, just to start at the front and the end, and we'll go that way. So Mayor Clark, if you would please share, why are you running for election again?
Well, good evening, everyone. I'm Christy Clark. I am the mayor of Huntersville. I'm a 15-year resident of the town of Huntersville. I'm a former paralegal and state representative. I also am an educator at Huntersville Elementary School in addition to being the mayor. I'm going to answer this a little unconventionally in that I always get asked, what am I most proud of that the town has done? And I'm proud of the fact that we have increased transparency in the town by having a newsletter, a radio show with our friend Justin over there, and had multiple meetings for budget review and other events like the State of the Town address. I'm proud of the fact that we have increased parks and greenways in the town and made a commitment to that. That's the number one thing residents ask for, and I'm excited about that. I'm excited about our investment in our staff. The previous board had the foresight to do a salary study, and then we turned around and completed that and invested in our staff here. I'm also excited about sidewalks and roads. When we were campaigning in 2023, the number one thing we heard about was the fact that people want more sidewalks in this town, and so we invested in those right away. We've also invested in communicating and being a really integral part of the Pottstown, part of the town of Huntersville, and so that has been something we were very proud of. And our investment in affordable housing, we're the first board to actually have dollars put towards affordable housing. And so that went to affordable housing needs study, which will be critical for us to implement. And last but not least, of course, public safety. Our very first official action was creating a municipal fire department. And then soon after, we invested in our police officers by raising their pay. And then we have also implemented having 3 school resource officers in elementary schools with the plan to expand to 6 in the future. And so why am I running again? It's because we have built a wonderful town. We have momentum moving forward, and I want to continue that momentum and that success for the town of Huntersville to make sure that Huntersville stays a place where people can live and thrive and raise their families and feel safe here, but also for kids who grow up and go away, and I want them to know they can come back here and live here happily.
Thank you. Mr. Partee, you also are not unfamiliar with being an elected official here in the town of Huntersville, so please tell us, why are you running
No,
again?
I am not. No, I'm not. My name is Derek Partee. First of all, thank you for having this forum. My name is Derek Partee. I'm a former commissioner here in Huntersville. But getting to that position as commissioner, I went through a transition when I first moved down here. In 2004, my wife and I came down to Huntersville from Long Island, New York, a densely populated community. And we loved Huntersville because it was sparse, there was greenery, there were tree line. And not only that, running through my backyard, I had deer and I could see hummingbirds. That's the reason why I moved here. There's an innocence being lost to Huntersville. And as the next mayor, I want to help correct that. I have over 45 years of government experience, 30 years in criminal justice. That's tantamount to my leadership skills. The progression when I moved down here, the learning curve that I went through, and having a master's in public administration was also serving on the 2040 committee, contributing to our 2040 plan, thereby serving on the planning board, learning the nuances of how their vote for zoning changes are produced. Then from there, I became an elected official. But what's more important about being an elected official is that we are all commissioners and mayor. We're elected to represent you. We're not elected to represent a party. This is a nonpartisan community. And listening is a quality that we have, that I have as an elected official. And believe me, during my job as a detective, especially homicide and sexual offense, you have to listen to detail. You have to listen to pay attention to the evidence. And I think that's very important as an elected official to pay attention and listen to the community. And right now, the community is angry. They're angry because there's excessive development going on in this town. If you drive down Hambright, you see all these factories. You see all the factories that they're vacant. When you drive down 21, you see the rental community that being built. When these communities come online, ladies and gentlemen, when they're occupied, that's going to stress our infrastructure. So what we need to do now is we need to sort of pause, take the for sale sign down in the front of Town Hall and put up temporarily closed so that our town management can catch up. Safety is paramount, and that's what I want to push as your next mayor. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you both again for being here this evening. We do appreciate it. We will have quite the variety of questions tonight, I can tell you that up front. We'll start with the little one that is of no concern or thought to anybody, but development. We will start with that. Balancing the need of more housing needs in the area with the lack of keeping pace from infrastructure. How do you believe best to handle that going forward? Mr. Partee, I'll start with you on this question.
That's a great question because that's what I'm running on. There has to be a balance, but prior to that, there has to be a sort of a pause. I'm not saying stop development totally. We cannot do that. But right now, for this instance, there needs to be some sort of planning moving forward. And that planning entails how we're going to service, how is our police department going to service the increase in population? The school board, for every 70% of renters have children. When they come online and they start living here, our school is going to be overburdened. The fire department, we're going to need to increase the fire department. There has to be a plan to accommodate the increase in population from all these, what I say, developments that are coming online. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Ms. Clark, same question. Balancing the needs of needing more housing with infrastructure like roads not keeping pace, how do you think best to handle in the future?
Yeah, this is a great question. In fact, this is one that we just recently had a conversation about at our most recent town board. One of our most recent town board meetings was we had staff prepare for us an analysis of housing. And so in that housing study, we saw that in the year 2021 and 2023, that was when most of the current housing that's coming out of the ground was approved either by right or by the board at the time. And so this board, because we saw that and understood that, have naturally slowed down development by being very picky with our projects and ensuring that our projects are multi-use projects that also bring jobs and retail to them as well. But also, people want to have a moratorium in the town of Huntersville, and what we also learned is it's really hard to do that. You can only have one for about 9 months, and it has to be something that is solving a problem, and the town doesn't have that problem. And so as we look forward to our next term, we already have the discussion in place about changing our ordinances to make it a little more challenging for multifamily housing and to see what we can do to slow things down for the future as well.
Thank you. Given that transportation is certainly a conversation in town as well, do you support the proposed sales tax increase, which includes dollars for rail, dollars for buses and additional transportation options, and road improvements? Ms. Clark, I'll start with you on this one.
Thank you. You know, I do support the 1 cent sales tax, and I'm proud to because it will bring $12.5 million to the town of Huntersville in the first year. And so when you think about a $125 million budget and when you're having to decide which roads to improve, which sidewalks to build, which greenways to build, that sales tax will be critical for us in moving this town forward. People talk to us all the time about infrastructure and intersections that need improvement, and that $12.5 million is going to be pivotal for us as a way to get that done. But then it's also a little bit about economic development too. When the red line comes here, it's going to help us grow our downtown into something amazing and something that we've been working on. And so I'm looking forward to seeing what it brings to us because it's going to really help solidify the town of Huntersville as what I like to say, a big girl town. And so I'm happy to support it.
Thank you. Mr. Partee, same question. The proposed sales tax increase, do you agree, do you support it, which includes dollars for rail, dollars for buses and additional transportation options, and road improvements?
Yes, I was asked this question on television, by WSOC. And my answer was that in the beginning, I was not for it. But then after reading the PAVE Act and seeing, as Mayor Christy said, we're going to get $12.5 million over the next 30 years, $700 million. We have CIP, projects that are in the pipeline. And as a person who has a master's in public administration, that is a lifeline to our town, and more importantly, to our roads, to our sidewalks, that we will be able to put into our budget. So therefore, I changed my mind in supporting the 1 cent sales tax. But here again, don't be fooled by the red line. Like I said, that's a red herring. I don't foresee the red line coming to fruition for the next 10 years or maybe 15 years, because as you know, we have one track going back downtown. And the logistics in order to build that line is going to be tremendous, and the cost is going to be tremendous. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Next popular discussion, budget. What would you say your top priorities during the next budget cycle would be if you were elected mayor? Mr. Partee, I'll start with you.
As a former commissioner, the budget process occurs when we have our retreat. The town managers, along with the commissioners and the mayor, come together and they decide on what the budget will be so that the town managers can operate and sustain the quality of life for the town of Huntersville. So therefore, to make the decision on raising taxes comes from the commissioners with the assistance or advice of the mayor when we get to that point. So right now, there is no way to judge how we're going to proceed until we go through the budget process, the retreat process from our town management.
Thank you, sir. Ms. Clark, same question for you. What would you say your top priorities during the next budget cycle would be if you were elected mayor?
Yeah, so one of the steps in approving a budget is the town manager kind of meets with all the department heads and determines what their priorities are, and they bring those to us. And when they bring those to us, you know, a lot of the things they ask for are additional staff, especially in our planning department, because they are overworked and overloaded. And so what my priority would be to make sure that we have enough staff to serve the needs of the residents of this town. And that is something that is consistently asked for by staff here, and I want to make sure we do that. And of course, to continue to invest in public safety and our police and fire. That is something I'm passionate about, and I want to keep making sure that we have those things in place in the future.
Thank you. The next topic will be safety. What do you believe to be the top safety needs throughout the town of Huntersville? Ms. Clark, I'll start with you.
The town of Huntersville is a participant in the Vision Zero project, and so that is a program that will help reduce accidents for vehicles and pedestrians and bikers. And so when you think about safety, I want to think about people being safe on our roadways, particularly when we've had 2 pretty serious accidents. And so the priority is making sure that our roads and greenways and sidewalks are safe places for people to get from where they need to go. We want to make sure that everyone can be with their family, go to the grocery store, go to school, and do the things they need to do safely. And that Vision Zero program and our mobility plan is the way to get there.
Thank you. Mr. Partee, same question for you. What do you believe to be the top safety needs throughout the town of Huntersville?
We need to increase our police force and maintain a competitive salary for our police officers. As a retired investigator myself, and as a former commissioner, sitting up here, I always advocated, number 1, for gun safety, and number 2, safety in our greenways. Because as we become more dense in population, the more we're going to have an increase in crime. And this is not to beat the fear in everybody, but it's just a fact of life. Therefore, we need to work with our fire department, our police department, to make sure that our citizens, our children, our schools are safe, and they are also, the safety of our children is paramount, but more importantly, the safety of this community.
Thank you, sir. Schools. What do you believe to be the top priorities within the schools that are within the town of Huntersville? Mr. Partee, I'll start with you.
Oh, wow. I haven't been in one of the schools. Well, as a matter of fact, I am chairman of the board for Aspire Trade High School. the only trade high school, charter school here in the state of North Carolina. And our priority there, our problems that we have there in the schools are, number one, the gummy bears, I should say, or the drugs that they bring in, vaping. They're also, we've had calls in for bomb threats. And I think what we need is to have a separate department, which we do, for police. I don't want to put police officers in the schools, but we need to monitor and stay on top of the issues of these kids that are, I won't say disruptive, but that are threatening the school safety of other students that are there.
Thank you, sir. Ms. Clark, what do you believe to be the top needs within the schools within the town of Huntersville?
I don't have enough time to answer this question as a CMS employee. I can tell you there's a lot of needs in the schools, but it starts with staffing. You know, the more staff you have to help students, the better the situation is. And that means more funding for our schools, of course, that comes from the state, and so the state has put that off. And so we want to make sure we're advocating to our legislators to push funding down to the local level. Our schools also need room to grow, and so we have those schools that are going to be built with the bonds, and we're working closely with CMS to make sure that those projects move forward as fast as possible. And so I'm looking forward to having a new elementary school in 2028 where I work. And then also the safety of our buildings. You know, our buildings are old, and so they have lots of issues with their HVAC and their AC. And so, you know, we're often told that it can't be fixed for several months because the parts are so old or things like that. And so I've been a staff member working in a media center that's 85 degrees, you know, on a 95-degree day, and it's not wonderful to have that happen. And so those are just some things that we could use help with at schools.
Thank you. Talking about green space, do you believe Huntersville is currently considering the appropriate amount of green space it has for the town? Ms. Clark, I'll start with you.
Yes, I think this is a fantastic question. We actually had our town staff analyze how much protected green space the town of Huntersville has, and it's around 16%. And so to me, that's not quite a high enough number. And so a goal that we have for the incoming board is to increase that number. And we are actively working with individuals around the town who want to sell their property to make sure that it's not going to be turned into a development, but it is going to be turned into preserved land or continue to be farmland. And so that is something that we have prioritized as this board and will continue to prioritize. We also took steps to protect the tree canopy by changing our ordinance and making it a little more challenging for developers to cut down trees when they're building. And so that is something that we want to continue to work on. And then we'll have an arborist starting in January of this coming year that will be there to help us with our tree canopy and making sure that we know when and where trees should go and what kind of trees are the best ones there. And so that long-term plan of having arborists will be critical to protecting our green space and increasing it.
Thank you. Mr. Partee, do you believe Huntersville is currently considering the appropriate amount of green space for the town?
I think it's appropriate, but I think we can do more. Right now, as I said before, the reason why I moved down here, the attractiveness of Huntersville was the tree canopy, the green space that was here, and we're losing that to development. I think we need to sit back and try to get a grasp on all this rezoning that we're doing in the area of all the forestry that's there. The forestry is being chopped down, and it's a shame. When I was a commissioner, I served on the Greenway Committee. And on the Greenway Committee, it's about expanding our trailways through all the suburban communities so people can enjoy, as they walk, the green and the foliage that we have here in Huntersville. So therefore, yes, as mayor, I think it's very important that we maintain and even also increase our green space.
Excellent. Thank you, sir. Moving to relationships. One of the key roles for mayor is to manage relationships. Why do you think you are the best option? Ms. Clark?
Thank you. Well, I have served in public office before. I have really strong relationships across the board in the state legislature, the school board, the county commission, and with other towns. Mayor Rusty Knox and Mayor Woody Washam and I have formed an alliance, and we have a regional plan as we are mayors moving forward. And so that's something that has been a priority for me. But also, people always talk about the letter beside our name. And I think that was something I was proud to put that aside for this term and to continue to work with people across the aisle to do things like advocate for the sales tax and to make sure that we have the resources to build things in this town, like the bridge that's going to cross 73 and other things like that. I am known to be a level-headed and calm person, and that is a strength of mine, and that is something that helps me build relationships because I am able to put our differences aside and find common ground across the aisle or across any other arena.
Thank you. Mr. Partee, one of the key roles of mayor is to manage relationships. Why do you think you are the best choice?
I have over 40 years of experience within the law enforcement area community. When you're in law enforcement, crime does not have or does not discriminate on any socioeconomic level. Therefore, to socialize or to go into these communities, you have to have the relationships. You have to know the culture that you're working with. You have to know the victims that you're working with. You need to have the sensitivity to work within the area of solving a crime. My relationships that I have developed over the course of the years cross those lines. And I think it's very important also working on another level as an elected official with an established relationship with your representatives up in Raleigh. And not on a partisan level, but on a bipartisan level, because it takes crossing over and communication and working together to get something accomplished.
Thank you. Back to schools. Do you believe charter schools offer additional opportunities for the community in the future? Ms. Clark?
Yes, we have a lot of charter schools in the town of Huntersville, and they are successful. And I have a lot of coworkers, I guess, that have children that attend charter schools. And so I'm happy to have them continue to invest with us in the town. Lake Lorman Charter and the town share the tennis courts and help, and that's just another way that our facilities and resources for the town continue to grow by those partnerships. And so I do believe that parents should have a choice in where their children should go. My stepchildren both attended a charter school, and for them, that was the right choice. And so I know that a public school is not always the best thing for every kid, and so sometimes they do need a place to go. Do I think that the municipality should start their own charter school? No, I do not, because that would be detrimental to our balanced budget. But the ones that are here are doing a good job in establishing themselves and working with us, and I think they should keep doing it.
Thank you. Mr. Partee, do you believe charter schools offer additional opportunities for the community in the future?
Absolutely, 100%. As I said before, I sit on the board, I'm chairman of the board for the Aspire Trade High School. If you haven't passed by the high school, we're right next to Hopewell High School. It's a charter school for trade, and it's very important because there are a lot of students who are not going to college. And we offer the opportunity for them to get into HVAC, welding, automotive, electronics, medical. And these are students coming in who, at the beginning, have low self-esteem. But as they graduate through the other courses and they become proficient in their craft, you can see the level of esteem building up. And I think it's very important that we have another opportunity, another avenue for students who are not going to go to college to learn and to make an exceptional amount of money. As a matter of fact, when they graduate, they'll be certified. We're in the planning now having to get them a vehicle so they can go to college, go to work. So that's my passion, charter school, especially the charter school, Aspire Trade High School. Go online and look us up. Thank you.
Thank you. E-bikes. Do you have any concerns with the large increase of users of these vehicles throughout the town? Mr. Partee?
Wow. I'm like Rip Van Winkle. I haven't even seen an e-bike. transportation is very important to get back and forth. I know downtown, well, uptown, they have scooters, they have e-bikes. If it's done properly and safely, and our police department has no problem with it, then, and we can study the effectiveness of the e-bikes in Huntersville. Huntersville is very small. I mean, you can walk to certain venues, but I will go by the advice of a committee that we might put together to study the e-bikes.
Thank you, sir. Ms. Clark, same question. E-bikes. Do you have any concern with the large increase of users of these vehicles throughout the town?
One feedback we've gotten from residents of the town is that the e-bikes are on the greenways and making them a little less safe. And so the towns of Huntersville, Coronet, and Davidson are already talking about how we can work on our greenways to make sure that there is a system in place to make sure that both the e-bike and the pedestrian can be there together. In fact, I hope to be one of those folks that has the e-bike that rides my bike from my house to town hall one day. And so I'm looking forward to continuing to work with those three towns to make sure that we have a plan in place. That was an unexpected thing on our greenways, but I also think it's an amazing thing because it means people are using our greenways and taking advantage of that and getting off the road.
Thank you. If you had your way, what would Huntersville look like in 5 years? Ms. Clark?
In 5 years, I hope that our downtown is a thriving and beautiful place for people to come and visit. I know everyone loves to go to Brookdale, and it creates a lot of traffic there, but I want them also to come to our downtown. I want there to be art and retail and restaurants here that people are attracted to, and we are already well on the way to having those things here. And I am excited to continue to work for those things in the future. It's something that the town manager and I are closely aligned on. And so we have projects in the works that we want to complete. And so I want to be able to serve again and push those projects forward because I know people want a revitalized downtown and they want a beautiful downtown and a place they can enjoy and walk and have places to hang out with their families, not just Veterans Park. And so I look forward to that happening in 5 years, at least 5 years, if not sooner.
Thank you. Mr. Partee, if you had your way, what would Huntersville look like in 5 years?
Well, let me just give a shout out to the former participants in the downtown committee. That would be Lee Holman, who was vice chair, along with Sarah McCauley. We had Amy Kovacs, who was a former commissioner, who was part of that advisory council. We have Amy Holman, Linda Jones, Janelle Harris. These folks 4 years ago came up with a plan and came up with a design that we are enjoying right now. And I think we owe them a compliment and a thanks because they were the architects of what we're going to enjoy 5 years from now. So I just want to put that out. And enjoying the comforts, the restaurants that I'm looking forward to is on their shoulders.
Thank you. If you could add one thing tomorrow to the town of Huntersville, what would that be? Mr. Partee?
Can you repeat that again?
If you could add one thing tomorrow to the town of Huntersville, what would that be?
Wow. Add. Well, as mayor, I would want the commissioners would have to make that decision. Just adding the resources that's needed. When I mean resources, I mean to make sure that the fire department, the police department, our medics have the resources to serve and protect our community. And I would work with town management to make sure that that comes to fruition.
Thank you, sir. Ms. Clark, same question for you. If you could add one thing tomorrow to the town of Huntersville, what would that be?
One thing that I would want to add, I think I mentioned I have the dream of being the mayor that rides my bike from my house to here, and the Greenway does not go to my house. There's no plan for the Greenway to go anywhere near my neighborhood. And so I would love to have that, again, I would love to have that extended and gone that way. I think we have not fully developed where I think the greenway should go to make sure that we can connect all sides of the town of Huntersville, because I really want people to be able to get from where they want to go safely and not have to use their car. And I also want to be one of those people who does that very same thing. So that's my dream, is to have a long and beautiful greenway to all corners of the town.
Thank you. Working with state representatives, what priorities would you like to work on with the other local state representatives while you are mayor? Ms. Clark, I'll ask you that question first.
You know, for a long time, the town of Huntersville has been working to have a magistrate up here. And so that has been something that even I worked as a state legislator, worked on that when I was there. We are continuing to try to advocate for that. And so I do think that our state legislature needs to step in and bring the magistrate to the town of Huntersville. Our court system has denied us that thus far, and so I want them to continue to do that. If I could ask of anything of the General Assembly, I would advocate for them to improve the way NCDOT works so that they can get to work on the roads that they're responsible for, because we have to wait a really long time for roads to be improved, and that's because NCDOT is so inefficient and underfunded. And so even when I was there, that was a topic of conversation, and I think it continues to be. And those two things, I think, would be at the top of my priority list.
Thank you. Mr. Partee, what priorities would you like to work with our local state reps on during your time as mayor?
Well, in the addition with working with the mayors of Mint Hill, Concord, Mooresville, I think is appropriate or imperative that we work with our representatives in Raleigh to come up with a plan to how we're going to delay development and monitor the zoning changes that's really, I wouldn't say destroy, but overcrowding our towns. There has to be some sort of lobbying that we need to do as far as mayors to change the laws. And that's one of the priorities I would like to institute as mayor. Deferring development, we can't stop development, but at least we can institute or try to get some legislation so that towns can protect their citizens and protect our tree canopy.
Thank you. Are there any types of development you believe the town of Huntersville needs more of? Mr. Partee, I'll ask you first.
Negative. And I say negative because right now, ladies and gentlemen, right above Sanford, near Caldwell Station, there's a group of apartments that are abandoned and dilapidated. You can't see it from the road, but I call them zombie apartments. The town is very well aware of it. I've spoken with our town managers on how we're going to deal with the problem that's there, because right now it's open to vandals, it's open to homeless, it's open to squatters. There's no lights, there's no running water, and there's mold growing in the buildings right now. That is priority, that has to be addressed. It's out of sight, out of mind, but it's there. And right now, that's what we need, that's what I need to work with our town management to see how we can take over that development, possibly, or turn it into affordable housing. But right now, it's sitting there abandoned, it's got chain around the gate. So that's a priority that I want to address.
Thank you. Ms. Clark, are there any types of development that you believe the town of Huntersville needs more of?
Without a doubt, it's affordable housing. That is something where the town of Huntersville has fallen behind. Cornelius and Davidson have had years of investment in making sure their affordable housing is on a pathway, and the town of Huntersville had a committee that started, and we're picking up some of the things that committee had ideas for, but really what we need to focus on is where can we have affordable housing in our town, because in our housing and need assessment, we showed that about 80% of the people that work in Huntersville don't live here, and that's because they can't afford to live here. And so we know that we need to focus on making sure that those people have a place to live in this town, because if they're gonna work here, we also want them to live here. And so that includes figuring out unique and creative ways to have a place for people to live. Our firefighters, police officers, teachers, waitresses, Starbucks employees, you name it, those people who are making it paycheck to paycheck need an affordable place to live in the town of Huntersville.
Thank you. And of course, the next question I got was about affordable housing. And it's a pretty basic one. What do we do now? And Mr. Partee, I'll start with you on this one as well.
I think what we do now is with partnerships. I mean, partnerships with Habitat for Humanity, which is very important, and not only important, but the cost effectiveness is doable. Partnering with other developers that come in here, but not putting a squeeze on them, but seeing what they can give as far as affordable housing within their complex. As I said before, right now we have a huge complex over here north of Sanford, and we have to look into that because right now it's a complex that I believe with the right funding, state funding, federal funding, that we can make livable and possibly affordable for those that want to live and work in here in Huntersville.
Thank you, sir. Ms. Clark, same question. Affordable housing. What do we do now?
So we actually have a project in the works right now that's going to come up before the board, hopefully later this month, that is going to be a co-op affordable housing project. And so that project is one where we, that group of people who are developing that are working for a nonprofit partner. And that is part of the coalition of what we need to build is we need to make sure that the three towns of Huntersville, Cornelius, and Davidson are working together as in a coalition to find places for more affordable housing. And then we did have our housing needs assessment done, and that group that came in and studied that pointed out to us places within the town of Huntersville that meet the HUD requirements for affordable housing, and they are from all ends of the town of Huntersville. And so we need to really look closely at those and find partners to help us develop those, because there is places that could be, and that abandoned development that we are actively working on, and this getting fined every day, don't worry, we're on it, is one of the places we have our eye on for the future. And so having those partnerships is critical to that success of affordable housing.
Thank you. What is your favorite thing about Huntersville? Ms. Clark?
My favorite question, and I'm going to answer it the same way that I answered the last time you asked me, which is the people that live here, right? Huntersville is a beautifully diverse community. I see the diverse families at my school, and they bring such vibrance to our community. We're actually having our very first Diwali celebration here on Saturday, and so the Indian families that have moved here have taken root and are bringing their culture to us. And as we continue to grow and people from all walks of life come here, no matter where they are from, they bring something beautiful to our town. And I love that they choose the town of Huntersville. It always makes me excited. The first thing I always ask people when they move here is, why did you choose Huntersville? They almost always say the greenways and the lake. But I hope one day they'll say the beauty of the downtown and the fact that it's a welcoming and comfortable and safe place for people to live.
Thank you. Mr. Partee, what is your favorite thing about Huntersville?
Birkdale Village. Coming from a high-density community up in New York, I know that the natives here, I know you can appreciate it, but it's more so as a New Yorker living here in Huntersville, the green space, the openness, the fresh air, the quietness is something that I love and I treasure. My wife and I, when we came here to Huntersville, the realtor took us to Birkdale Village in 2004. As some of you who have been here in 2004, Birkdale Village looked like Back to the Future. And when we sat down and we had a meal and we just looked around and we like, this is home right here. We built our house over in Ladder Springs across from Hopewell High School. And like I said before, it's just the lack of density, the greenery, the quietness is something that I treasure. And also, I'd never seen live hummingbirds until I came down here.
Thank you. We appreciate you both being here tonight. I've got one more question for you, and then we are going to take a break here in the room, and we will also offer the opportunity for others that are running for elected positions that affect the town of Huntersville and will be on the ballot. They'll have their opportunity to speak as well. We'll also, as mentioned in the beginning from Brian Sisson, we'll hear from Larry Shaheen on the other side of the transportation conversation. But Mr. Partee, starting with you on this last question, why should people vote for you?
The voters should vote for me because one of my best attributes is listening. And as a former commissioner, you have to listen to the public because we represent them. When I was a police officer and I was giving out tickets, the person would say, well, I pay your salary. Why are you giving me a ticket? The same thing as elected official. You pay our salary up here, but you also elect us to represent you and your interests. When I was up here, I voted against Birkdale. When I was up here, I voted against the Lagoon. When I was up here, I voted against another community over on Beattiesford Road, because the public came in here, they spoke publicly, and they said, we do not want it. Myself, as the next mayor, I think it's important that you pick a board of commissioners who are about the same thing, listening to the community and voting on on their needs, and not always the needs of the developer. And also, I did not take one donation from developers, and you can fact check that.
Thank you, sir. Ms. Clark, why should people vote for you?
This is a great question. When I first got elected, the first thing I said to the town manager and staff here was like, what is the to-do list? What are the things that need to be done? And there were a lot of things left by the previous board that had been left undone. And so I said, let's get these things done. And so I'm a decision maker and I'm a collaborator. And so I worked with the board to make sure that we could get as much done as possible and not just let things languish. When you kick something down the can, the residents get frustrated. And so, or kick the can down the road, I should say, residents get frustrated. And so when you have to have someone who's the leader, who's gonna be willing to make decisions, even the tough ones. But also, you have to have someone who's a leader who is a kind heart and a thoughtful heart and a respectful heart. And so the town board, the 7 of us actually have received an award for civility, and that's because we made an argument. We might disagree with each other, but we will always be the we before me, and that we includes the residents of this town, and that is why I should be the next mayor.
Thank you both again for being willing to come here and answer questions that people have for you. No doubt you have many other stops along the campaign trail. We encourage everyone to continue to ask questions and obviously come out and vote. Radio fan, we're going to take a break. And inside the room, though, again, we are going to allow for the others that are here that are running for office. And then also we'll give Mr. Shaheen a moment as well to speak. Thank you.
All right, thank you very much. We have a little break here while they're shifting around. I'm Bill Fountain. I'm running for the CMS School Board. I'm a Christian husband, father, grandfather, retired Air Force Lieutenant Colonel, business manager, and a licensed North Carolina teacher for 10 years. And I'm running for School Board District 1, which includes Huntersville. And for too long, I've watched CMS put social and political agenda ahead of academic excellence. And some of the ways you can see that is about 2/3 of the students are not meeting the state standard. And not only that, but it undermines the things like, I guess what you call it, it underlines your value, the family values that we see at home, tolerates code of student conduct violations, and steers some children toward a victimhood mindset. And I say, hey, it's time to do something different. And I think that is, the first one is to have better behavior in the classroom. Second thing is to start talking about character. We can use, instead of talking so much about social emotional learning, let's shift that to focus on character development, where we talk about values like integrity, like resilience, kindness, and fortitude. Those types of things I think are contagious to the children. They'll make their behavior better. It'll make teachers a lot easier, and it may be something they're not getting at home. So I have the teamwork, leadership, and the in-the-classroom experience to be an effective change agent to prepare our students for better success, and also empower parents, promote school choice, and maintain traditional values in the classroom. Thank you for your time.
Thank you. We appreciate you coming by. Come on up, sir. Introduce yourself.
Good evening, everybody. I'm Ricky Robbins. I'm going to be a candidate for sheriff in Mecklenburg County. I'm a native Charlottean, attended Myers Park High School, Central Piedmont Community College, and UNCC. I've been in law enforcement for over 40 years. Third of my career spent working up here in Huntersville in the northern end of the county as a Mecklenburg County police officer, so I'm real familiar with Huntersville. Enjoy law enforcement. I have 4 priorities going into office. The first one is going to be safety for the staff and inmates. Everybody deserves to work in a place where they feel safe and secure. Second one is going to be retention and recruitment. If employees feel valued and we have a place where they can come, they feel safe, then that's going to help in the retention. It's also going to help with recruitment because other people will come and work where employees feel like they enjoy working, they feel valued, and a value to the community. The third and the biggest thing that I want to do going into office is to reopen the Juvenile Detention Center. Mecklenburg County is the largest populated county in North Carolina. There's no reason why we don't have a juvenile detention center. But the juvenile detention center being closed, when juveniles are arrested, that is an imposition. Number one, we're transferring a juvenile to the closest facility, which could be 2 to 3 hours away, up in Asheville, down near the coast. The juvenile is already troubled, so when you take them out of their hometown, their environment, that's something else we have to deal with. We know that most juveniles that are arrested are coming from a low-income area. That's putting a super burden on the families because families can't afford to travel across town to see the juvenile, so we know that they're not going to be able to travel out of this county to other counties. The third thing that it does is also it's a financial burden to you as citizens of Mecklenburg County because anytime we transport a juvenile out of Mecklenburg County, that takes 2 deputies off the road. That's a whole full day because they're going to be gone 1 day traveling, doing paperwork, coming back. That's 2 deputies. Every time that juvenile has to come to court, whatever county we have them stationed at, they're not going to bring them back. So that's 2 more days that you send in officers back up to get them, bring them back to court. Now think if that happens 2 or 3 times in a 24-hour shift and they're going 3 different ways. The last and most important thing is to make sure that I'm transparent throughout the day. I want to make sure that anything that happens when I'm in office, that you hear and you know about it when it happens. People deserve to know what's happening right now. I believe in Monday morning quarterbacking is old. I believe in being out when it happens. In my career, if you look, I've been out on these streets in the last 15 to 20 years at every major incident that has occurred in Mecklenburg County. If you're up front, you're out front, you get the support of the citizens and you get problems solved a whole lot quicker. So I'd appreciate your support and also your vote when it comes time to vote for the sheriff of Mecklenburg County. Thank you, Ricky Robbins.
If we could get the candidates also to make their way up here that are going to be seating up here during the next round, that would be great. And we have a couple more folks here.
Hi everyone, I'm Amanda Alamy. I'm here on behalf of my fiance, Caleb Newman. He's running for Superior Court Judge. He couldn't make it tonight because he's at a fundraiser for Anita Earls, which is very exciting. He is running for District 26C, which encompasses Huntersville, Cornelius, and Davidson. We're both Huntersville residents, so really excited to be talking to you all tonight. He has over a decade of public service experience, first as a federal public defender here in Charlotte, and then now as a prosecutor in Rowan County. He is currently a senior assistant district attorney, so it's a mouthful, and he is currently prosecuting the worst of the worst type of crime. So that's everything from rapes, drug trafficking, high-level felonies. He has a lot of experience in that. So please visit his website, Newman for Judge. His election is going to be in, his primary election is going to be in March. It is March 3rd, so we would love to have your support and have your vote. Thank you so much.
Good evening. I'm Joy Patterson. I'm here representing Charlita Hatch tonight. She is running for District 1 School Board. I am a product of CMS schools. I'm married to a CMS teacher, and I have 2 children in CMS. So I definitely know that Charlita has exactly what we need. I've known her for over 20 years, and I have also served with her in the Junior League of Charlotte, where she has been a president during the pandemic. Currently, she is leading data for the city of Charlotte, Chief Data and Analytics Officer. So she definitely will be a data-driven leader for us. She is a community leader. As I mentioned, she has been the president of the Junior League of Charlotte and held many other leadership positions in the community. She's also a children's book author. She has 3 books that she's written, and she is really preparing us for the future. So when you think about Charlita Hatch, Hatch is not just her last name, it's also an acronym for helping advance with trust, care, and hope. So when you think about Charlita Hatch, think about that. Helping advance with trust, care, and hope. She has real solutions, real heart. She's for every child, every family, and every school. And she is not just for Charlotte, she's also from Charlotte. So please remember, Charlita Hatch for District 1, Charlotte School Board. Thank you.
Thank you. And now we're going to have Mr. Shaheen come up to talk about the transportation. Again, as iterated from the jump, Lake Norman Chamber of Commerce does not take a position on the transit tax. Mr. Sisson personally had his comments, and then Mr. Shaheen will come up.
Thank you. And thank you, WSIC and the Chamber, for allowing this opportunity today. And again, of course, thank you to the candidates who are willing to serve their time. As my name is Larry Shaheen. I'm an attorney at the McIntosh Law Firm, but I've done that now for about 6 years. But for 8 years prior to that, I was an elected consultant and worked on campaigns across the region and state. It may surprise you to hear that a Republican is up here asking you to invest in our community through taxes, but that's what I'm doing tonight. And I think Mr. Sisson is a friend, and I have many friends who I disagree with on this issue. I work to help his wife and him be successful in this community, and I wish him much success moving forward. We're going to be friends after this referendum is over, and good, serious people can disagree. But there were a few inaccuracies that were stated that I want to address first, and then I want to talk about this very quickly. The bill that is before this community, the PAVE Act, was actually written by a gentleman and myself. His name's Keenan Huey. He is a former Deputy Secretary of NC Department of Revenue and General Counsel. He's probably the most qualified individual to write any bill in the history of the state. And to hear someone disparage the work that he's done personally is a little bit offensive to me. So I'm just going to go ahead and put Kanan's good name out there to make sure folks understand that a very qualified individual wrote this bill. Secondarily, I'm going to draw your attention to the fact that in the actual bill itself, there is a guarantee that the red line has to be built before anything else can be built. Section 4.9, subsection 2. If you go to the PAVE Act and read for itself, it says that 50% of the red line has to be completed before they can actually complete any other line within the rest of this community. So yes, there is a guarantee that the red line is going to be built, and it's going to have to get built for them in Charlotte and anywhere else to be able to build it. When you're dealing with this issue and you're having a conversation about this issue and about sales tax, you know, I don't often like to tell people to look to South Carolina because I'm not from there, but every now and again you got to look down south to look at our friends in York County who passed Pennies for Progress 25 years ago. And that's why there's 8 lanes on the highway down there. Now, that may not be the way we solve our problems up here, but it's the way they solved them down there. So if it's good enough for those Republicans down in York County, I think it's good enough for us up here in Mecklenburg County. But ultimately, one of the things I really want to address for everybody here tonight about the PAVE Act is that more than anything else, it's good government. It has taken 5 years for this community to get on the next page about how it's going to work together to be able to invest in our transportation infrastructure needs. 5 years. City of Charlotte moved forward with a plan called Charlotte Moves, and North Mecklenburg couldn't get on board with that. And that was the best thing North Mecklenburg ever did, because that plan did not invest in our road infrastructure and it did not invest in our communities. It invested in Charlotte. And now, after the work of managers and mayors like Mayor Clark and others who were a part of this progress, we see a bill that has been supported by Republicans and Democrats across the state. How often do we get to say that we get to vote for something that 148 of the 170 North Carolina legislators and 85% of our local electeds, not only led by leadership in the House and Senate, but by Governor Cooper and Lieutenant Governor Rachel Hunt, in addition to being supported by folks like the Black Political Caucus and our local business community, we have seen our community come together for a plan that is going to invest over $19.5 billion into our community. 40% for roads, 40% for rail, and 40% for bus. I'm sorry, but with 157 people moving here every day, we have to have the resources. And let's be clear, the state will never be able to help us get out of our problems. In 2008, the Committee on 21 identified almost $12 billion in infrastructure needs in Mecklenburg County alone. Last year, North Carolina identified $36 billion in needs across the state. Wonder how much the state spends on transportation every year to build roads and do all kinds of new stuff? $2 billion. And we have a corridor cap here in Mecklenburg County. We'll only ever get $650 million. So the state ain't coming. And let's see, have we looked at our federal government lately? Do we think that they're going to have the resources to be able to invest what we need here in our community? No, it ain't there. So we have two questions to ask ourselves as a community. We're going to have 1 million people show up here in 10 years. Are we going to invest in ourselves and be able to take the control we need to be able to give our towns the ability to build roads and let our community build rail? And finally, take the step into the 21st century as a major city. I ask you to vote for this referendum on November 4th. I ask you to do it with the rest of your community. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Larry.